And we're live.
Podcast is live.
Holy smokes.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
What's up?
And hello, Kyle Battis.
Good to see you guys. Yeah.
How's it going, dude?
It's going well, man. Yeah. Happy New Year to you guys.
Happy New Year.
It's been ages,
right
Kyle.
I know it's been a hot minute, Mr. Brian. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So, Kyle, we haven't done any prep for this call, and we're gonna ask you the question today.
We're professionals. We don't need it.
That's right. We're gonna ask you the question today: is how did email change your life? Right, and yeah. we'll get there in a second. But first, I'd like to just maybe introduce you.
Sure, please.
Yeah, that's right. So Kyle Battis, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, is I've known Kyle for a long freaking time. Mm-hmm. Like Kyle and I met in grade school, probably in kindergarten.
I think so. Yeah.
Was that this Lozo's class?
Could have been. Yep.
Yeah. With the did you have the yellow enamel bathtub?
I think that brain cell has been lost many years ago.
Yeah, but you didn't go to an elementary school other than Enfield, did you?
I was in Canaan before I moved to I think it was like second, third grade. I moved to Enfield.
Okay, so we didn't meet in kindergarten, but in elementary school we would have met at some point. Maybe Miss Mursky's class, perhaps.
Absolutely, I do remember Miss Mursky. Yep.
Yeah, and so Kyle and I have known each other like literally our whole lives. Yeah. Not literally, but pretty damn close. Mm-hmm. And we grew up in the same town. We went to the same grade school. We went to the same middle school. We went to the same high school, and we both managed to graduate.
Yeah, amazing.
Right. That's good. It's an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always friendly enough, but we weren't like super close growing up, you know. And Kyle, you went on to become a personal trainer.
Yeah, I went to school for like sports medicine and exercise science. It was like physical therapy for athletes and active,
Yeah.
So that was my jam back in the day.
Nice. And Curtis, how's it going? Curtis Leung says, "Happy Hump Day."
Right back at you, man.
That's right. So I went on to go to school to study the mind and became a hypnotist and hypnotherapist after college. And little did I know I'd end up working primarily with weight loss at that point in my life. And so Kyle and I had an interesting crossing of paths around that time. So with that said, there's all sorts of things that we could talk about because, I know email has been part of your life for over half your life now.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the story, Kyle? Like, I of course could go on and on about what you're doing now and everything else, but I think we're going to get there. So
yeah,
how does email change your life? When you think about email and your own life, like what stories come to mind?
Yeah, it was an interesting, twisty, curvy kind of path to get where we are now. But it all started with I went to college. I was an 18-year-old kid, graduating high school. A lot of pressure from peer group parents, like you got to go to college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm like, I like sports, I like science. I'm like, maybe I'll do this sports medicine thing. But that was about the extent of how much I investigated that, college choice. It's an important decision where I'm going to invest, whatever, $100,000 to go get a career in this thing that I didn't really look into all that much. I have thoughts about college in this day and age, but it was what it was. And I went to school for it and I had a great time, made a lot of great friends. I enjoyed, the learning of it and doing it. But when I graduated and actually started working in that field, the hours were super long. The pay was super low. And the work was frustrating and tiring. And, I was waking up super early in the morning, training people in the morning, working at the physical therapy clinic, treating patients there, have some little blocks off during the day. But then I would go to a local college, do all the sports medicine, train all the athletes, tape ankles, rehab people. Then I could be there conceivably till 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night if there was a tournament going on. And then I'm working weekends, you know, like covering soccer games in the rain, you know, like if somebody gets hurt, I'm the dude running out on the field, picking up the broken athlete and trying to nurse them back to health or get them seen by a trusted medical professional. And it was fun. I enjoyed being part of the team. I enjoyed the work, and it was like not a bad day getting paid to watch sports, you know, and being part of that team. And like, you know, I made a lot of friends and did that. But after a couple years of it and just the nonstop of it, I realized that I'm never going to make any money at this. And money wasn't like the biggest driver for me, but it was significant, you know. Where it started negatively affecting my life is like I was really into my friends, and friends would say, hey, we're going up to the lake this weekend, or in the winter, we're going up to this ski house. You should come up. And I'm like, I can't, I got to work, you know, I'm covering this event. So it's just like I was trapped in this low paying job. And I was working all the time and I had no, you know, kind of escape from it. It was negatively affecting my relationship. You know, I was realizing like I'm never going to make any money at this. And ultimately, it all kind of came solidified in my mind the day I ran into an old friend from high school. He was like one of the older kids. He was working at a sporting event that I was covering. And I'm like, hey, Eric, how are you? Great to see you, man. How's life? And he's like, I hate my life. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm like, damn, why, man? He's like, I work all the time. Like, I don't make any money. He just got out of grad school. I was considering going to graduate school at that time because I thought that was the thing that was going to get me to the next step. And like, if I just had this, I could make more money and be happy. But like, I just talked to this dude and he was not that at all. And so after that, like, after that conversation, like, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to do something different. Right. And that kind of where the email stuff came in. I just so happened to like go home for my brother's birthday party, and Tellman's sister, Sarah.
Oh, dude, I was just on the phone with my sister for 2 hours this morning. We were just talking at length just moments ago.
Give her my best. Tell her I said hi. So
absolutely.
But I was just chatting with her randomly at my brother's, you know, bonfire kind of birthday party situation. And she was telling me all about Tellman. She's like, oh, Tellman's doing great. He's got all these hypnosis practices. You know, he's shaved his head. And I think the last time I'd seen Tellman prior to that, he had like a green mohawk, you know, and it was a very different haircut. It's like, you should connect. So we did. Like, we reached out. I think we got together at like a Borders bookstore up in Lebanon, New Hampshire.
That's true. I remember that. I remember I took you into the magazine aisle and we looked at magazines, right?
Yeah.
And like headlines, and
I think you helped me. You get turned on to Tony Robbins at that point, you know, like, you know, start working on the brain stuff a little bit. But then we started like geeking out on all this internet stuff. Tellman kind of exposed me to this world of like online marketing, you know, and list building. And we tried a bunch of stuff. Like, we sat down in Tellman's dad's lake house with a microphone and a tape recorder kind of setup. This is how long ago this was. And we recorded an info product, you know, and, you know, it was like this 5-course module on you know, weight loss and whatnot. Put together probably the ugliest sales page in the world.
The 5 keys to permanent fat loss, I might add.
Yeah.
5 keys to permanent fat loss.
And it was a god awful sales page, but like it worked and generated some, you know, some leads and some sales. You know, that was kind of cool, you know, that this thing was working. And I never really considered the possibility that there's this whole world out there where you can reach other people that are interested in a topic and like help them out with advice, information, and they'd be willing to pay for it. Mm-hmm. You know, like obviously that wasn't the home run kind of thing that knocked it out of the park. Tellman went on to experiment with a bunch of different things. I started like building like a local, you know, website for my like side business, right?
So our attempt to sell the CDs like on a technical level worked.
Sure.
And we sold like 10 of them or something, right?
Right.
But like, yeah, we like functionally we were able to sell a few, but like not enough to like buy dinner.
Yeah.
Right.
And like knowing what we know now, like I just said this quote to a group yesterday I was presenting at, having a business and not advertising it is kind of like winking at a girl in the dark. Like,
I love that. I love it.
You know what you're doing, but nobody else does,
That's right.
like
winking
we were winking at a girl in the dark at that point. Nobody knew that we had this thing. Like, I don't know how we marketed it at that point, but we didn't know anything about driving traffic and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, like Tellman kind of, he did the list crusade kind of thing. I think he built like an email list of like 30,000 people and, knocked it out of the park with that. And that was like super eye-opening for me and like an epiphany. Where like, I know this kid, like I went to school with this kid, like, and if he can do it, that means like I might be able to even just do like a fraction of that and like get success. So I remember driving to Vermont and be like, dude, like I'm super hate where I'm at, with my life and my career. And I don't want to do this forever. And I'd seen enough glimpses of like how this whole thing worked and that it could work. And now that I knew somebody that had made it work, like, dude, that's super eye-opening and super, epiphany changing for me. So I'm like, teach me how to do this. Like how do I, I'm like bouncing all around the screen here.
I'm working on it. On it.
Okay. I got a little dizzy there for a second. I'm okay. But I'm like, dude, teach me how to do this. Like, how are you doing this? Right. And you had, I think, productized, the thing with, the professional marketing machine. And I'm so I signed up for that training, like did it. And I built like an email list of, I think like 5,000 people in like a 12-week period of time, got to interview people that I knew.
What did you call that? What did you call that series?
Ask the fitness expert, right?
That's right. Ask the fitness expert.
Being like a reporter, interviewing these guys that I idolized and they were amazing.
Tom Venuto, for example.
Yeah. And like that, talk about how email changed my life. Like that started that whole thing. And it was a cascade of all these other things that happened after that, right? Like I got a modicum of success from that. I made, I think, more money doing that, like in a 12-week period of time than I did the previous year working at the physical therapy clinic, which is like amazing to me. But I also like met cool people that I literally, idolized, and became friends with them, through, building an email list and interviewing them on these teleseminars and stuff like that. And then Tellman like hired me to, and I think action creates more action, more success. Like Tellman saw that I implemented stuff and put another opportunity in front of me, which I gobbled up and like grabbed, like started working on a membership site in the attention deficit space. Right. And then like I mentioned that to Tom Venuto, like one of the guys I interviewed on that teleseminar series. He's like, I've always wanted to have a membership site.
Right. I forgot about how that happened. Okay. This is a great reminder. This is a good trip down memory lane. Yep.
And so like, I think Dan Kennedy always says like, you want to be successful, you got to be somewhere, do something, have something to say, like I was doing stuff and it was turning into more cool stuff that happened, and so, like, I started working with Tellman, Tom Venuto pretty quickly, short after, like, we partnered together on that site. I still run that site today. Like it's still
really? That's hilarious.
It's still a site. Like
I had no idea that you still ran it. That's funny.
During the Fat Inner Circle. Like it's Tom, like we got a great community over there.
Is it still on MemberGate?
It still is, yeah. Old classic MemberGate, yeah.
All right.
It's a great site, amazing community. Tom uses email list building to drive people into the site, and like participate in these challenges. So it's super cool. But then eventually, started working with you. Like we grew, the publishing company into a cool thing. Met Brian, met Mike, met all these amazing people. And just like one thing after another just kind of grew into this whole, like it became my full-time gig. I remember the day I quit my full-time job at the physical therapy clinic. Like it was amazing, and so nerve-wracking at the same time. But I had made more money like in the last 4 or 5 months repeatedly, with the side hustle thing than I was making at the full-time gig. And I'm like, all right, I'm going all in on this. So And I did, and I've never looked back, since then. So, so that's the kind of catch-up thing. Do you want to pause there and ask any questions?
Brian, you haven't been very talkative today. Do you have something profound to say?
I don't know if it's profound. So a couple things, right, Kyle? So one thing I thought interesting about your story is your unique situation. So a lot of times we find that people, they're in good jobs and they're being paid well, but they just have no life.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sacrificing, time freedom for money. On the flip side, you have a lot of people, maybe they're in, crappy, low paying jobs, but they have all the time in the world. You had neither.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. So, but you
highly motivated to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe more motivation to change your situation.
Yeah, I mean, like the pain had just gotten so bad. Like I was starting to have relationship issues because of how much I was working. Like I couldn't do certain things. And like that pain had just become so frustrating and had been enduring it for so long. And then just that one conversation with another athletic trainer that I knew, like who was, for me, it was kind of like glimpsing into the future. Like he's 4 years into the future of where I probably was going to end up if I didn't change something, So that's where it kind of solidified and I made a decision. I had no idea what the hell I was going to do at that point because I didn't know like what I didn't know. But I knew I was going to do something different. I was going to find out whatever that was going to be. I think just that decision is a powerful thing, and I think you kind of find answers and mentors. And I was happy to have and lucky to, reconnect with Tellman at that point. So that was awesome. Yeah.
Cool. So, I actually have to run into the bathroom for a second. So I'm going to leave you with a question and I'll be back in like 30 to 45 seconds. I've been moving back into 75 hard. And so I'm doing the gallon a day thing and like all the time. So apologies. I figured it was more polite for me to go to the bathroom than something more direct. So my question is, would you elaborate a little bit on what you're doing now and how that is or isn't influenced by email and email marketing and what you've learned and kind of, because it's literally been over 20, so like close to 20 years since you've been studying this stuff, because like I was in my 20s when I started studying it. You were in your late, I assume late 20s too, right? So it's like you're maybe a little bit behind me, but like it's closing in on 20 years, So like, where are you at now? What are you working on? And as a matter of fact, where can people go, if anywhere, to find out more about your stuff?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, so what I did is like after. Like Tellman, we worked with Brian and Tellman at the overcome everything list building, kind of side of things. I went on from there. I got recruited to go work for this company in kind of the gun space. Was really focused on traffic for those guys. Eventually became their director of marketing, and I left there to start an agency. Like I always loved local businesses, and what really kind of spurred me into that is I had a conversation with a friend who was starting a restaurant, and stuff that I took for granted, because we've been working on the internet for so long, was just like so out there and like so non-intuitive for him, like to market this local business using the internet. So that conversation kind of made me, come up with like, hey, maybe I want to do a local marketing agency, use these skills and these chops with email marketing and traffic driving to help local businesses, brick and mortar businesses, service area businesses, right? So I partnered with my friend Mike, who I'd worked with Tellman and the gang here, to start a local marketing agency. And like the whole thing was I was going to be kind of the front face of the company. Mike was the back end operations ninja, doing everything and making everything, work on the back end. But I was responsible for selling, started immediately building a website, building a list, started selling right away. got our first client. That first year in business, we sold everything, like websites, marketing funnels, email list building, whatever, like all the stuff that we knew worked, in the digital info marketing space, kind of bringing it to local marketing. But we didn't really have anything productized. We were just like, we had all these skills, and it was almost a dangerous place to be in because we knew too much and we could do anything.
Right.
But like every new client was a brand new project with different scope and different scale. Nothing was repeatable. But we started, doing some advertising clients at that point, like running Google ad campaigns to a landing page to capture emails and phone numbers, for our local business clients. And that, like, at the end of that first year, when we sat down and looked back at the past year, saw where we were, and be like, okay, what do we like doing? What's working? What's missing? What's next? Like, what do we like? What do we hate doing? Let's just focus on the stuff we like. That's actually, our clients really care about. And so we really just zoomed in on the advertising side of things. Like, how do we get our clients, measurably more leads that can turn into customers on their part, right? So that's what we focused on. And then since then, we've scaled this, we started that in 2012 and have been doing that ever since, So we've got clients in 26 different states now.
Oh, really? I thought you were just exclusively in New Hampshire.
No, we work with clients all over the country. Yeah.
Well, in that case, what's your link and who's your ideal client?
Yeah, I mean, like, people can check out like inboundserviceleads.com. Like, that's probably the best place to go, which is a lead capture page, about like what we do. But our ideal clients are service area businesses like tree removal companies, paving companies, landscaping companies, roofing contractors, well water pump treatment company, pretty much any kind of business that touches or services a home. Like, probably we're working with, somebody that does that in some part of the country, right?
Of all the different clients that you have, what's the number one profession that you either have the most of or that you want the most of? So you can answer it either way, however you want to answer that. Like, basically,
it's the same thing. Like, paving companies, surprisingly, it was a niche that we started working with that we just kill it for those guys. And I think the criteria of why we have success with them and similar type businesses, it's a high ticket transaction. You're not getting a paved driveway or parking lot for anything less than 5, 10, 15, 20, 60 grand, like, 100 grand, whatever, if it's a commercial kind of parking lot. Fast transaction cycle. So it's not like it's not like we're building a custom home for somebody. Like, I need paving done on my driveway. I want it done. I'm just trying to find the right guy to do it. Like, we're really good at getting in front of the right people, getting connected with our clients, and they can close the deals. Like, so it's a good win-win kind of situation. So yeah, that tends to be like, we have a ton of paving clients all across the country, but similar, like with the roofers, the windows and siding companies, quick transaction cycle, high ticket service. They need leads, like, people are looking for that on Google, right? So that's what we do. And that's how it works.
Okay, so it's primarily Google, and you're generating leads for service-based businesses, most of which help out homes, probably in some cases commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're generating leads for these guys. Now, when you say you're generating leads, that can mean a lot of things. So for you, in your business, the way you're doing things right now for most of your clients, what amount of information are you collecting to consider someone a lead?
Yeah, it's a good question. For some of it depends on the type of business, right? Like somebody calling a local landscaper. Like, I was just looking at one of my clients in the last 30 days, he invested probably about like $1,500 into his advertising campaign. He got about 66 leads. 99% of those were phone calls. Like, somebody calling and be like, I need a quote on this. I need a quote on that. Do you do this? Yada, 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 right? Whereas like other types of businesses, like a water well pump treatment company, you think you got arsenic or radon in your water, maybe you get a higher percentage of people filling out like a lead form where you ask a name, email address, phone number, address, like what's your biggest problem that you have, like on a drop down menu. like, then submitting that form, right? Some clients will, if they're sophisticated enough, will drive that into a CRM that they use and actually connect it in there. Some of our clients are pretty basic and don't use that at all. It's literally just showing up as an email in their inbox or a text message on their phone.
Okay, so you do customize the way you do it to a certain degree for each business.
100%. Based on what they're looking for and what their ideal client looks like.
But with like Google Ads, you're able to measure when you can get the phone to ring.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either the phone is ringing, an email is showing up in their inbox, or someone's filling out some degree of a lead capture form, including name, email, phone number, whatever, right? Yep. So you're actively generating leads and driving business for these guys. Are you managing any email lists? Are you doing any long-term follow-up with these leads, or is it more lead gen versus list building?
We do it for ourselves. Like we do that for ourselves. Like we build we nurture, like we run our own Facebook ads. Like we're spending a fairly substantial amount of money every day to every week to generate appointments for myself and sales team members, booking their calendar out with like 10, 15 appointments a day. We meet with a bunch of people, kind of find out where they're at with their business, what they're looking to do, ask them questions, kind of diagnose where they're at. If we think we can help them, like we'll present what we do, how it works. The right people will say yes. We'll have those conversations every day. We'll get a certain number of sales like every day, right? And get new clients, right? So, and we use our own email list. Like I write a weekly email that gets blasted out to everybody that's raised their hand saying they're interested in what we do. So we use email marketing ourselves. We don't do it as a service for the majority of our clients. Most of them like save some of the more sophisticated and typically some of the more successful ones just aren't doing it at all, and they're just happy grabbing the low hanging fruit. A lot of the efforts that we do for these local service area clients, it is very much bottom of the funnel. Like I'm going to hire somebody like right now. I'm just trying to find the right dude to do it.
Yeah.
Yet we get our clients in front of those people and position them as the obvious choice on who that person should hire, just to make it as much of a layup as possible for our client to do that, right? And that's enough to keep most of these guys happy. Like we do have clients where we'll drive them to the landing page, we'll hook it up to their CRM. They will do email marketing on the back end. They will do follow-up and regular touches for those longer sales cycle type situations. But I'd say the vast majority of like what we do for our clients, they're people like looking to buy right now. We're connecting with those people.
Totally. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Brian? What do you have to say?
Yeah, so I remember way back when I first got into online marketing, like 20 years ago, it was initially offering like website services to local business owners. So back then, I was literally picking out a yellow pages and cold calling businesses out of the yellow pages. Also going door to door in some cases. Back then, websites were new, so I was having to convince people on there was these thing called websites, and you can actually use them to get business. I'm sure a lot's changed in the last 20 years. I'm wondering these days, like, are there any best practices or things that you're trying to like instill in your clients as to like, hey, this is what's working, and that they're somewhat maybe not adopting or maybe might be skeptical or resistant to?
Yeah. I mean, if there's anything that's consistent about the internet, it's changing. And it's changing faster and faster and faster. And so like stuff that used to work, when we started doing this back in the day, like, can be an antiquated thing. Go get you slapped, Google will slap you up and down the street until you're out of business. Right. Like websites as an example, like we used to do, like when we first started this thing in 2012, it was like a hot time where they had dedicated mobile websites. And then you had like a dedicated desktop website, and you literally had two of them. Right. And there was this switch that was happening where, Google was trying to figure out, are we going to go the dedicated, mobile site route, or are you just going to go with responsive design? Clearly, responsive design has won where the website shifts. Matt Gill.
What's up, Matt?
You had a great Band-Aid story about Matt Gill. I won't.
Matt, do you want to join us? If you do, you know what? As a matter of fact, is anyone opposed?
I love Matt Gill. I love the show.
Should we invite Matt Gill? I don't think he'll have the guts to show himself. I think he's going to be too intimidated to get on camera without any.
I don't think you need to goad him. I love Matt.
Oh, I think he's going to be intimidated. He's going to be so intimidated. He's not going to be able to handle it. Let's see. Matt, I'm going to send you a message, and we'll see if you can answer the call. Maybe Matt Gill should be the next person we email or interview for how email changed my life.
I remember, getting into this game back in the day, and following Matt's stuff, the interviews he did with Joyner back in the day, like super cool stuff. Yeah. So, anyway, the internet's changed quite a bit. What we do with the local businesses on the agency front, a lot of it's like not website focused at all. Like we're seeing, especially for those service area businesses, they're getting like 60% of their leads, 60 to 80% of their leads, from paid ads and the local Google business pages, like showing up in that Maps Pack listing. Because what has happened in the website listings for those local business searches is like those huge directory sites like Angie's List, Thumbtack, Yelp, Better Business Bureau have just taken over the website space. So, and these small businesses, these local, $1 million, $2 million businesses have nowhere near the marketing budgets to compete head to head with the Angie's List, who's got thousands and thousands of contractors across the country paying money to generate leads for them. Angie's List is making, they're selling the same lead to 5 or 6 different contractors. They're making money every time on that lead. They're investing some of that money to build their asset back. So as that game has progressed over the years, their websites have just taken over the website listings. So like gone are the days where I'm recommending to most small business clients, oh yeah, you got to build the website first. Like you can, but even if you do everything right, you invest in search engine optimization, you got a 2-3 year gap ahead of you to even get some traction on the front. Because it's like, with the front page of Google, I always joke with clients, like, you want to hide a dead body? Put it on page 2 of Google. No one's ever going to find it. Because people aren't going to page 2 and 3 when they're looking for a paving company, a roofing company.
Right. Looking for the number one recommended. Yeah.
And so you got to be in the paid ads and the Maps Pack because that's where you can compete in this day and age. And so we take kind of like a Google monopoly approach with those local business owners, getting them in the paid ads, connecting the paid ads to the Google business page, which gives them another listing in the Maps Pack with the star ratings next to it, and doing local SEO on their Google business page. That's what's driving traffic to the website in this day and age, if you're ranking on that front page. So that kind of combo is primarily what we've, and using direct response landing pages, remarketing, that kind of stuff, like to actually generate leads for these guys. So less focus on the website nowadays. For those clients where we have all this in place and they want to build a long-term asset too, and are comfortable reinvesting and waiting a long ass time to get the website to rank, we'll do that too, but it's like typically what's going to work in the next year, immediately is the paid ads, local SEO side of things. And then we invest in the website on a long-term asset. So
that makes sense. Well, dude, so obviously different types of businesses in different areas with different levels of marketing sophistication all need different things, right? And so for you, in your own experience running your own businesses, right, over the years, what experientially as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, either working in these businesses, on the businesses, owning the businesses, for you, what's been the difference between having a business with no email list and no knowledge of what that even means, just like normal business, and then shifting to be a list-centric business that's generating leads, that's building a list and creating a long-term relationship with those people? What's your experience of life as an entrepreneur without an email list versus with an email list. Like for you, what's the big problem that having an email list has solved in your life? Maybe you've seen it on more than one occasion.
I mean, I think it goes back to that quote that I jokingly shared earlier, like where, if you're in business and you're not marketing and advertising, it's like winking at a girl in a dark room with the lights off. Like, what you're doing, but nobody else does.
Right.
Like, I think, by advertising gets you in front of people. Having a good offer, a lead magnet, whatever, gets them to raise their hand and say, I'd like to learn more about that. Right. And then you start the list building conversation. You use video and email follow up to get people to take that next step. In our case, it's like to get on a meeting with one of our team members that we can have a conversation and see, can we help this person? Are we able to add value and like use our system to get them? Are they a good fit for us? Right. Every business is going to be a little different, like with what that back end conversion kind of mechanism looks like. But I mean, that's essentially like what it is for us. But we use advertising email to get them there. And then from there, like, I think there's a percentage of people, there's that moving parade kind of analogy where people will show interest. They'll raise their hand, opt in to the email list, but maybe not be able to pull the trigger right then and there. Like, we're just coming out of the holidays recording this. Some people are like still kind of recovering from the holidays. They're not ready to jump it. They maybe signed up. They're interested. They're thinking about doing something to get their business growing in the upcoming year, but maybe they're not ready to take action now. So they get the weekly drip emails. They get the email sequence, that we get. Then the goal is to get people to raise their hand, re-engage, book a meeting, and get back on where we can actually like help them and see if we can help them, So that's how like email, we're using email personally in our business to see how we can help small business owners that are looking to grow their businesses. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, very, very good stuff, Kyle. Thank you for sharing your email journey with us. Guys, if you want to build your email list, if you want to get good at the art of email marketing, if you want to build your email list and really get things growing, then I encourage you to go to www.mascotland.com/early-bird, and you can join our early bird email list and find out about possibly becoming one of our next email marketing students, if it makes sense for you. Kyle, is there any other email related words of wisdom that you'd like to share with all the entrepreneurs out there that are wondering, is email still relevant? Should I really be focused on building my list, or should I be focused on something else right now? Like, do you have any like parting email thoughts?
Like Clubhouse. Maybe I should be on. Kyle, I don't know if you've been watching, Kyle, but for some reason I love to pick on Clubhouse.
I've never even been to a Clubhouse thing ever.
I'm just wondering, like right now, maybe to piggyback on Tellman's question, should I maybe go on Clubhouse right now instead of email if I had a choice?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I think like I'm always a big fan of like the old school direct response, like education, like Dan Kennedy's, like Matt Gill, who is, popped in. He talked about the I don't know what the exact term was, but he talked about like the old guard of, the internet marketing, like old guard, the Mark Joiners of the world. Like, they had direct response marketing knowledge and roots that worked offline that they applied here. So I think the principles will never die and never change, things that ring true to me, like something like Dan Kennedy saying, never let your head hit the pillow without having done something to, have more people know about your business today than knew about it yesterday.
That's right.
And applying that to email, like if you build that subscriber list constantly, you're increasing the awareness, you're increasing your reach, you're increasing your capacity to, essentially influence and help more people, and potentially make more money in doing the right thing and helping those people. So, I mean, like, that's probably the biggest thing, like always be growing the list, make sure you're growing the right list, there's all kinds of strategies, and tactics and channels. That's always going to change. But I think the principles of like, focus on building that list improving the systems along the way. Like I was always a huge fan of Mark Joyner's way of thinking about looking at the different elements of the system and how do we tweak this part, how do we tweak that part to get a 2% bump here, 3% bump here. And you can get those things working to a pretty good degree so that you get a kind of minimal viable funnel in there. And then you predictably keep pouring stuff in there and you keep tinkering with it over time to incrementally get it to work better and better and better over time. I think if you do that, you'll get some pretty good results, no matter what application you use it for. So hope that's helpful.
Rock and roll. That's awesome, Kyle. Well, thanks again. And people can go find out more about your stuff at inboundserviceleads.com.
Yeah, or NA Strategic Marketing. That's our core agency website. So either one will get you to us. So yeah, good chat with you guys.
If you guys own a paving company and you need more leads, definitely call Kyle. There's no doubt about
any
that.
Local service business. Yeah, for sure.
Rock and roll. And if you want to learn how to build your email list, go to messscotland.com, www.messscotland.com/early-bird. Rock and roll. Brian, anything else on your end before we wrap?
Just looks like email, yes. Clubhouse, no.
I think we should totally, I think that's bogus, bro. I think we should totally start like rocking it on Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse is actually probably a really great place to generate leads. You need to stop smack talking it, I think. What's your problem?
Let me know.
I'll let you know. You want to do a Clubhouse right now?
What's that?
You want to do one right now?
No.
You just said let you know. I'm letting you know, and now you're declining. What kind of?
That's what you let me
kind of
know, and
games
then
are
get
you
back
playing
to me
right now?
Then I'll decide.
Are you toying with my emotions?
I might be.
What's happening right now?
Oh my goodness.
Very unprofessional. Like unbelievably unprofessional. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. All right, dude. Say hi to Purvis for me.
I will. Yeah.
Tell Mike,
you guys.
give Mike my regards as well.
I will. Yeah.
Rock and roll. All right, Kyle.
Guys.
Thank you. Brian, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you both very soon. I hope 2023 rocks for both of you.
Right back at you, boys. See ya. Thanks.
Later.